The following segments are pre-recorded and sponsored by Longworth Productions.
Voter information on Triad Today. Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Triad Today, coming to you once again from the beautiful Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. We'll tell you more about the garden later on, and later on is when the roundtable shows up. We'll get into some all sorts of topics and make our picks for some of the election winners and losers coming up for November 5th. All right. Now, let's, first of all, our very first guest, who's also going to join us on the roundtable later, is a good friend of ours. Wendy Poteet is president and CEO of Shift Ed, and we welcome you back.
Glad to be here, Jim.
Let's remind everybody what the mission of Shift Ed is.
Shift Ed is an education nonprofit, and our mission is very simple: to boldly accelerate student potential. And we believe we have the ability to transform communities by offering students diverse educational and workforce pathways.
Yeah, now I want to just make a point. We didn't rehearse this or anything, but the fact that you help a lot of kids of all ages, because I think sometimes people see you on the air or they've heard you interviewed and they think, oh yeah, that's the organization that helps high school kids get scholarships for college. But you do a lot more than that. Absolutely.
We run more than 21 programs now, initiatives that we implement across the school district. And we start as early as pre-K to make sure they are transitioning into kindergarten, and we are walking students to and through college and into the workforce.
Because the younger kids, the pre-K, the kindergarten, the elementary school, kind of important formative years, aren't they?
Absolutely. We want to make sure they're ready when they get there. Some of our partners in this work, Ready for School, Ready for Life, they do a great job from 0 to 5 up to 8 to make sure kids are ready when they get into kindergarten. And then we transition and we walk them through the K through 12 system, and we stick with them through graduation and those diverse pathways. Either they're going to college for 4-year or 2-year, or they're getting credentials, or they're going straight to the workforce, or some even going to the military.
Absolutely. All right. Now, you sent me an email recently about a special luncheon coming up. Now, tell me about that.
So we are hosting our 3rd annual Accelerating Impact Lunch. We have a fantastic keynote this year in Ron Clark. He will be with us November 12th at the Stephen Tanger Center for the Performing Arts, and we will be there at 11 o'clock. The doors will open for some networking. The buffet will open at 11:30. Program starts at 12, and Ron Clark, if you have not seen him or had the opportunity to talk to Ron, he is a renowned educator and famous for his innovation in education, and he is a firecracker.
Yeah, so what role will he play? Is he there for inspiration or what?
He is. So we believe that Ron's vision around access and exposure for students and innovation in education aligns with the work that we do every day at Shift Ed. So we were fortunate to be able to bring him in to talk about what does it look like to be innovative in education? What does it look like for students? What does it look like for educators? What does it look like for community stakeholders to wrap themselves around the school district to think about innovation and the success of our students?
What can the community do, Wendy, the community at large do? Let's say they can't make it to the luncheon. What can they do to support your mission?
We have several opportunities. So we're always looking for mentors for our SEO Scholars Program. We're always looking for volunteers to sign up to do tutoring in the elementary school space. We are always looking for people to come in and work with our mobile innovation lab. So there are a number of things that people can do. One of course, the biggest things people can do is donate to the cause.
Right.
Every dollar that we can bring in-house gives us the ability to accelerate that impact for even more students.
Sure, and can go to scholarships as well to a lot of those students. And now, I assume that the money collected from the luncheon, and it's going to be huge, a lot of people there, so we're going to tell you in a second how you can register for that. But those proceeds will go to help with the mission, right?
Absolutely. Everything goes directly back into that mission and that education continuum of accelerating the student potential.
All right, up on screen, Accelerating Impact Luncheon, as Wendy said, Tuesday, November 12th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., Tanger Center for the Performing Arts. To register or to learn more, you can go to shift-ed.org, shift-ed.org, and that gets you all that information. And even if you think you can't make it, as Wendy said, you can still go online and find out how you can make a donation. I really appreciate all that you're doing for the community, and you are going to hang around for the roundtable, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Wendy Poteet. We'll be right back after this. Here's a sad fact. In the last presidential election, over 81 million people didn't even bother to show up and vote. So it's important to register. Right, Key?
Absolutely, but one of the most important part of it is education. Education is key to this election. Educating you on the policies that the candidates are talking about, educating you on the candidates and issues, so please get educated.
This is brought to you by Ground Game Innovations. Back now on Triad Today. Always glad when we can spend a few minutes with this gentleman who has individually and collectively with his company, Triad Federal Credit Union, and of course all the great folks there have been very supportive of this program and very supportive of the community. Of course, I'm talking about Atticus Simpson, who's Executive Director of the Triad Foundation, also Government Affairs for Triad Federal Credit Union. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Always a pleasure.
You and I've talked before many times about Triad's commitment to, and Triad's Foundation commitment to helping the community. But what I'm going to talk about for the next few minutes with you is, you sent me an email one day and said, talked about helping folks outside of our immediate community, and I think I know where you're going with this. What's going on?
Yeah, so of course we do a lot of things in the community to support people in need, but we also realize that there are opportunities for us to support people outside of our communities, and that particularly was an opportunity during Hurricane Helene. And so in early October, we got our team together and mobilized and tried to provide some support to some of the communities that were impacted the most.
Just devastated.
Devastated. Some of the places, I mean, they're still finding, things that people didn't realize had happened. And so I think it's going to be an ongoing recovery effort. But we tried to do some things early on to kind of help really, provide
What kind of relief stuff did you do? Did you provide for those communities?
Yeah, so we were focused on our employees, of course, but also one of the first things we did, we sent over 16,000 bottles of water to the upstate of South Carolina, because we have a lot of members and employees in that area. And so we wanted to provide some clean water for them. We also provided about $20,000 in relief efforts to credit union-specific disaster relief funds who support members but also employees in those areas.
Yeah, because you have a lot of communities. Let's just veer off for just one quick second.
Absolutely.
And just remind folks how many states you're in.
Yeah, so we're in 3 states. I mean, technically we have members all over the country, but our main market is in 3 states. Here in the Triad, Southwest Virginia, and then the upstate of South Carolina.
Right.
And if you think about some of the impacts of the hurricane, it was devastating in the upstate and then also Southwest Virginia. So we sent resources there to help our members and our employees.
Right. Where, did you guys partner with anybody or any organizations in doing this effort?
We did. Thanks for that question, because we partnered with 3 different agencies here locally. So we partnered with the Winston-Salem Police Department, Forsyth County Sheriff's Department, and then also the YMCA and a nursery over in Greensboro to help provide relief products. And so our employees, through all of our branch networks, collected things within the branches, and then we worked with those partners to send items up into Henderson County, Buncombe County, and then also Avery County.
Now, would you say that your support for these communities and your relief efforts are complete now?
I don't think so. I think that we did a lot on the initial stages. I think we're still finding employees who have some personal hardships that the disaster relief funds will help with. We're also working with some local communities, organizations that are trying to expand what they're doing. Like I said, it's going to be an ongoing recovery effort. And so I feel like we'll find some opportunities to support local organizations that are, providing relief in those markets, particularly in the upstate or Southwest Virginia.
Looking ahead, what's next for the foundation? Because I know you sort of changed the mission of the foundation over the past year or so, and the scope and you really reaching out in different directions. So you might just want to comment on how that's changed and where you're headed.
So the biggest change is now we are our own 501c3 organization. So we are an independent organization, still affiliated with TrueLiant, but we kind of stand alone as our own C3 organization. And so not only is TrueLiant providing us resources to help the community, but we also welcome and have community members who are giving to our foundation to help us do more. And so that's the biggest change. In the immediate, we'll continue to monitor the disaster recovery needs, but we also have an education grant program that we just launched, and that's open for public school teachers in grades 6 through 12, looking to do innovative programs that they wouldn't be able to do otherwise. And then we also have our scholarship program that just opened up, and that runs through February. and that's for any first-time student who are either members of Truliant or dependents of Truliant members, and that provides resources to employees going to college.
And that leads me to this up on screen, truliant.org/foundation. That's truliant.org/foundation, which gives you all sorts of information about the foundation, its mission, and how you can get involved to help them and also maybe to get help.
Yeah.
And Atticus, we appreciate all you do for all these communities and for being so supportive of Triad Today. As we talked about on our 1000th show, you guys have been here for 21 years since episode 1, and we appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you doing that. I appreciate you bringing us along, and let's go for 1,000 more.
All right.
All right.
We'll be right back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you that Triad Today is now streaming on WFMY Plus, available free on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. Back now on Triad Today, and we're going to talk about a special event coming up. To do that, it's appropriate that we have two very special people with us. On my immediate right, we'll get to this lovely lady in just a second. Nino Jaimo, he's owner and chef of Gia Restaurant. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
And Natasha Hilbert has been on the show many times before. You recognize her. She's executive director of Power of Play Foundation. Welcome to both of you. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Natasha, I'm going to start with you. Remind us about the mission of the foundation and who started it.
So back in 1995, former NFL football player Ricky Prohl and his wife Kelly decided to put the Power of Play Foundation together in order to help less fortunate families be able to support themselves with after-school care, summer care, mentoring, sports camps, and then also we have a Santa's Helpers program, and through that we raise money for scholarships in order to make all of that happen.
All right, now that brings us to a big event coming up on November 7th. Tell us all about that.
So we have partnered up at the foundation with Gia Restaurant and their distillery in order to have a private event one night. It's going to be November 7th, and we are going to have, it's going to be exclusive. We have tickets, we have sponsorships, but the whole goal is to raise money for our Santa's Helpers program, which it is, October 9th now, and that's literally going to be right around the corner. Christmas is quick approaching.
Right, and really, and it's making a difference. I've been to some of these events that you've had with giving out gifts to the kids, and some of these kids wouldn't have had a Christmas without what you're doing, so I appreciate that.
Correct.
That's an important part of it. Nino, let's talk about first, for people that haven't been to your place, where is it located?
So Gia is located on New Garden Road, not too far from the Brassfield Shopping Center.
Okay. Now, let's jump ahead to November 7th. If I go to this big event and help raise money for Santa's Helpers and all that, what kind of menu am I going to experience?
You're going to get to experience kind of from our specialty past apps and heavy hors d'oeuvres that we're doing that night. A lot of flatbreads, our Sicilian flatbreads that are coming out of our wood fire oven will be there. We're having a large grazing table, traditional Italian style with lots of cured meats and cheeses. And
You're making me hungry.
Yes, so good.
accoutrements, little things like that. So, and a lot of fun things like chickpea fritters. And then, of course, the bar. You can't ever skip the bar.
That's right. That's right. Hey, Natasha, tell us about some of the items that will be offered on live auction and raffle, because there's usually some pretty neat stuff in these things.
So we're going to keep the live auction kind of small. We're going to get some UNC basketball tickets, which are always a huge hit.
Right, unless you're from Duke.
Well, or NC State, of course.
Yeah, that's right.
We're actually lucky enough to have a fishing trip that is, a friend of mine has a gorgeous boat called the Impossible down at Wrightsville Beach.
Wow.
62-foot brand new boat. And so that's going to be a fishing excursion. We have Blanton's bottles, and so on every bottle of Blanton's, there's a letter that spells out Blanton's, and we have all letters all in the bundle.
Okay.
And then we also have, which I think is my favorite, a specialty drink from Gia. So, for instance, if you are the highest bidder, that drink will be named the Jim holiday drink from November 8th all the way through January 1st.
How
Yes,
about
sir.
that? That's pretty neat. Now, can I donate if I can't attend that night?
Absolutely. You can certainly go to the website at Prolific Park,
Okay.
or we also have a link that we'll put on today.
Right. Now, before we lose time there, Nino, I'm just curious. Why do you support the work and the mission of Power Play? Why is it important to you?
I think it's in line with kind of my personal values and a lot of the community values that we do at GIA. We help numerous nonprofits help raise money we'd like to help with just doing cool events and just making them successful and being fair about it. And so when we were talked about this idea, came together, said, we want this for Christmas, and we think this would be a great way for us to use our restaurant for the night and provide the platform to give back and set the stage for it. So we'll have it all decorated up and ready to go in November.
Yeah, it's very generous of you, and I know everybody appreciates you doing that. Okay, up on screen Thursday, November 7th, 6:30 p.m. Gia's on New Garden Road. Tickets, you can go to foundation@prolificpark.com, and I hope you will do that and donate even if you can't come. To both of you, thanks all, for what you're doing, for the kids especially. It's going to be a great event. Thanks for everything.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
The world's brightest are Fulbrights, Goldwaters, McNairs, and Spartans. Prestigious doesn't have to be expensive. UNCG. Find your way here.
Back now on Triad Today, and here with a familiar face who's with us every week, Keith Granberry, founder of Helping Hands Consultants. Good to see you early. You're usually just on the round table, but
Absolutely.
yeah, I know you've got an emergency coming up. You're going to have to leave, so we're not going to see you on the round table. But
Right.
I want to spend a few minutes with you because I know you've been traveling around the country, educating people about voting, trying to engage people in the political process. Mm-hmm. What are some of the issues that people need to be aware of?
Well, I think when you talk about policies, it's important that people understand to vote for. As they look at voting, they need to look at the issues that are important to their families. Education, the justice system. Those are issues that are really important to people. The economy. These issues that people really need to look at, but they don't need to look at this one issue and say, I'm going to vote for a candidate based on one issue. They have to look at it from an overall standpoint of how this person will impact my family and my community.
Right. So even though one person might have an interesting policy on immigration that the family might agree with, if the family's hurting because of minimum wage requirements or whatever, then maybe they need to vote in their best interest.
Yeah, I mean, like women's rights. I mean, that's a big topic that's on the ballot this year.
Yeah.
And it's affecting women all throughout the country. So, there's issues that they need to address. There's issues that the voter needs to look at, but they need to vote. I mean, if you look at this year's election, it's going to be one of the most important elections in recent history. So they need to go out and vote.
Right. But before they vote, you're wanting people to be educated, know about the issues, look into it. Don't just believe social media, which brings me to this question. There's a lot of misinformation out there. What do you think people should do to get around that?
Well, I think that the social media is full of misinformation and it's targeted. I mean, they pay companies to send out misinformation to targeted groups. So that's why we're out talking to different individuals and communities, reaching out to people, talking to them face to face, meeting with church leaders and business leaders and leaders in the community to engage them so they can communicate to their public about what's issues. Like, for instance, in North Carolina, there's the ID. Well, if you don't have your ID, you still can vote. You can ask for a provisional, and you can vote. So if people go there and they tell them you can't vote without ID, that is that's wrong.
Voter suppression.
That's voter suppression.
And there's even been things online where people will say you don't bother to vote if you don't have an ID.
Right.
There was one of the states, the social media post was telling people that the election day had been moved to the next day, and all sorts of weird stuff. Look, what do you say to folks who say, Keith, I'm not going to vote because my vote doesn't count?
Well, when you don't vote, that is a vote. So if there's issues that are affecting your family, whether there's educational issues, women's rights issues, issues dealing with our community, social issues for seniors, all of these issues are issues, and if you don't vote, that is a vote. So if you're looking at a candidate and say this candidate is not for me or this candidate is not for me, but all these issues affect you and you don't vote, then you're only hurting your community. I think it's so important that people look at going out and exercising their right to vote, because not only on these national issues, because it's a lot of issues or politics are local.
Oh, yeah.
People win state senate races and state representative races with less than 4,000 or 5,000 voters in communities with thousands of
And
voters.
sometimes not even opposed.
Right.
All right, before time gets away, I want to remind folks of a couple things. We have some information on screen. Absentee ballots must be requested by October 29th. That's this Tuesday. You can deliver your absentee ballot to the County Board of Elections or any early voting site. Early voting in person ends on Saturday, November the 2nd. You can register to vote on the same day that you early vote, but not after November 2nd. You can go to the NC State Board of Elections website for more information. That's ncsbe.gov. And of course, our thanks to Ground Game Innovation. GroundGameInnovation.com is that website that I hope you'll check out. My friend Governor Doug Wilder, former governor of Virginia, used to say that voting is the voice of the people, and I know you agree with that too.
Absolutely, 150%.
All right, I know you've got to sky out of here for a little emergency meeting you've got to go to, so we will miss you on the roundtable.
But I'll be back soon.
All right, be back soon.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you to catch my column Longworth at Large and Yes Weekly every week. It's available throughout the Triad, or you can go online, yesweekly.com. Back now on Triad Today, just about time for the roundtable, but a quick shout out to our good friends here at the Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. It's a beautiful place. Come out and visit the garden. You can go to the website. You can rent the facility. It's a great place. With me now, two very special folks. Wendy Poteet, that you saw earlier on the program, President CEO of Shift Ed, and Mr. Theater. Dave Briggs is here, former director of High Point Theater, now has his own consulting company. And we just will make a note that Keith had to leave. He had an emergency come up, so you saw him earlier in the show. He's not here. Ogie had an emergency himself, so he's not here. So it's been one of those days, but we wish them both well. All right, guys and gals, let's get to it. Last week, a group of historians who had been reenacting a World War II event stopped in for a dinner at a local Massachusetts restaurant. They didn't have time to change, so they walked in there to eat, and they were people dressed as American soldiers from World War II, people dressed as Nazi soldiers. Faced with protests from the community, the restaurant owner has had to apologize for allowing Nazi reenactors into his restaurant. Given the anti-Semitic feelings these days, were the protests justified or just ridiculous? Wendy.
I could see where it'd be justified. We have a heightened sense of things going on in our country right now. I think it's okay for us to apologize, to be on the safe side.
So if in your diner, you would apologize for letting Nazi reenactors in there?
I think my premise and take on life is, if I have offended you, even if I don't think that it should have been offensive to you, if I have offended you, then I apologize for that.
All right, Dave.
Well, yeah, given the anti-Semitic undertones that we have right now in the country, probably wasn't the best thing, but it would have been better if he just put up a note and said, we have enactors in here today. This isn't what they do, but this is what they do.
And the reenactors probably, if they thought, would have just put a T-shirt over or something.
Exactly.
Anyway,
yeah,
all right.
another jacket in the car.
Right. I'm thinking something and not going there. Girl Scouts of the USA plan to raise membership dues from $25 per year per girl to $85 per year per girl. Now, at a time when money is tight for a lot of families and Boy Scout troops are siphoning off girls into their ranks, is it a good idea to triple the membership dues? Wendy?
As a former Girl Scout, I would probably say yes. They don't raise their dues very often. And I'd say, if you think about it in the concept of 12 months, I think the dues are fair for
Plus, the Girl Scouts do a lot of great work. They, as you know, I don't have to tell you, and offer a lot of programs to really help young women become great older women and achievers. So
the 3 C's, Jim: courage, confidence, and character.
I agree with you, Dave. What do you
my
think?
daughter was a Girl Scout, and I agree with Wendy. I think that there comes a time when you do have to raise the dues. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Girl Scouts have a plan, a foundation that helps folks who can't pay for those dues to become members.
Great organization. After appearing at the annual Al Smith dinner, Donald Trump told told folks that Fox News people helped him write the speech. Now, later Fox denied that, but either way, it begs this question. Are you okay with a news network, whether it's liberal or conservative, openly supporting one candidate over another?
I think the question is not am I okay with it? I kind of have to be because that's all we have right now.
Right.
It would be really nice to have a nonpartisan network to just give me the facts and me not have to decipher who's lying about what.
Right. MSNBC is all in for Kamala and Fox is for Trump. Okay, Dave.
I think it would be nice if news reporters were no longer taking sides and they just offer the facts.
All right, next week, folks, we're going to bring you a special voter education edition of Triad Today where I'll interview candidates for governor and state superintendent of public instruction, which means, and we want you to watch it, it's a great show, that this will be our last roundtable before the November 5th election. So let's go down real quickly to some key races and get your predictions. Josh Stein and Mark Robinson running for governor. Who wins, Wendy?
Josh Stein.
Dave?
I believe Josh Stein does this. I don't think the Republicans did a good job of vetting Mark Robinson.
Okay. State Senator Rachel Hunt, she is the daughter of former Governor Jim Hunt, running against Hal Weatherman, the Republican. They're running for lieutenant governor. Who wins this, Wendy?
I think Rachel Hunt, and I'm looking forward to seeing her clean that office up.
Yeah, Dave?
Well, I actually like Hal Weatherman, but I think she's right. I think Rachel Hunt wins this.
All right, Democrat Congressman Jeff Jackson is running against Congressman Dan Bishop to be our next Attorney General. Now, just for historic purposes here, Dan Bishop was the one that actually crafted the bathroom bill that got us into a lot of trouble. Anyway, who wins this?
Jeff Jackson will take this one.
Think so. Dave?
I don't think so. I think Dan Bishop wins this, and I think he'll go after Josh Stein if he becomes governor.
That's interesting. Yeah, Bishop's got a lot of support
He does.
with the party
Down
people
east
anyway.
and down west.
Yeah. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, of course, running for president. Now, I have two questions on this. One, who of those two can win North Carolina and the 16 electoral votes, which is really critical? And then who wins the election outright? Wendy?
I think Donald Trump will get the electoral votes. I think Kamala Harris will win the election.
You think so?
I think there are an awful lot of disenfranchised Democratic voters who are not going to vote. I think Donald Trump will win North Carolina, and I also think he takes the general.
And the election. All right. Finally, a new Gallup poll says married people are 24% happier than single people. Guys and gals, do you think married people are happier than single people? Wendy? It's a simple question.
I think if single people do it right, they could possibly be happier than married people.
Dave?
I am very happily married. I was fairly happy single.
So
I think
you're-
I'm more happy as a married guy.
Okay, there you go. Two non-committal diplomatic people. That's all the time we have. Oh, except for this. There was a farmer out in Montana who just loved Donald Trump, and he was arrested last week because he was illegally cloning sheep, or as we call them, election deniers.
Ooh.
That's a little oldie, but a goodie. All right, for all of us here, hey, be sure to watch next week for our voter education special. See you then.